ready? And we're just gonna here. Hello. How are you?
I'm great.
Good.
It's a beautiful day. I'm looking out the water. It's a great day.
We about a week ago put out a video that you did regarding Attainable Homes in Lee Summit. And we asked the citizens if anybody had any questions, concerns around that topic to reach out because you wanted to answer those questions. And so we decided to do a Q&A and sit with Cynda today to hear her answers to them. So that's what we're here to do.
Okay.
You ready?
Good. Let's get going.
Okay.
Yep, ready.
All right. First question that we had. You've spoken about attainable housing. How do you define the difference between affordable, attainable, and subsidized housing?
Well, if you go online or you look up the definition of those three things, here's basically what you're going to find. Affordable homes are homes that they are based on something that you can afford that is within 30% of your income. That's kind of what we've always said that affordable homes was. Mm-hmm. So, in other words, you would make a payment for a home based on the range of 30% of your income. And then as far as attainable homes, I define that as an opportunity to own a home that becomes more affordable for more people, more attainable for more people. So I would say that 80% of the people would be able to buy a home. But what's interesting about that still is that it all depends on the price of the home. So we know that fewer people are going to be able to afford a $600,000 house, right? And that more people are going to be able to afford a $250,000 house. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the premise of that. Subsidized housing now is something that could be federally funded, statewide funding. In the past we've had MHDC financing, mm-hmm. which is the Missouri Housing Department. And it is a bond program that a first-time buyer can apply for. They have to have great credit, but it is a down payment assistance. So those types of things, you could say, it depends. Subsidizing is we're not talking about Section 8 housing. I'm not talking about housing for people that are very low income here. Mm-hmm. We're talking about getting people that want to buy homes the opportunity to be able to own homes.
So the MHDC, that would, if I'm correct, work for teachers, government employees.
It could work for anyone that qualifies.
It's anyone that qualifies.
Right.
But they do have a lot of programs out there.
They have first-time buyer programs.
First-time buyer programs, yeah.
I would say yes. No, we don't have as many as we used to. That's the other thing that we've kind of been talking about at council, and that is that we need to look into more of these bond programs, mm-hmm. and first-time buyer programs so that people can. And remember, on a first-time buyer program, it doesn't mean it's the very first time. You just couldn't have owned a home within the last 3 years. Right. So if you sold a home and you were living somewhere else or renting for a while, then you could come back 3 years later and go again.
Great. Okay, good answer. The second question we had was, how can Lee Summit ensure that affordable housing doesn't compromise the quality or character of existing neighborhoods? I like that.
Okay, so the way I would answer that question would be, this is how I visualize things. I think Arbor Walk is an absolutely excellent example. Arbor Walk over off at 150 and Ward Road. So in that neighborhood, the concept to me was fabulous because you had townhomes that came in first. At that time when they were built, extremely affordable. They're still affordable. Mm-hmm. Then what they did was they moved on to townhomes, four-unit townhomes. These were all owned now, mind you. They were not rentals. Mm-hmm. Duplexes were in there, and then what we called neo-traditional type homes. So what they did over there was they had created smaller lots. When everybody else was having bigger lots, they had mm-hmm. smaller ones. So you could put a narrower, smaller home on a lot of these lots.
Put more.
Right, you could have more density, and then garages in the back, smaller yards. People loved it. And then as time went on, the houses got a little bit bigger and bigger, mm-hmm. so that you could actually stay in that neighborhood. You could live in a townhome, and if you loved it, you could move on up to a 2,500 square foot house if you chose to do it. So,
So that's a good way that you say that we don't
we-
compromise the quality.
well,
Is
what
that-
I'm saying is that using that as an example
Mhm.
is you don't go to Lakewood and plop a 1,200 square foot house in the middle of 5,000 square foot houses. That's not architecturally or aesthetically going to be pleasing. But also know that every subdivision has restrictions. They have CC&Rs, or covenants and restrictions, and those restrictions dictate how big of a size that a house can be.
Mhm.
Now, I got to say this: downtown doesn't have. There's no HOAs
Yeah,
downtown
no.
Lee Summit,
Mhm.
but we do have. The city had a minimum of 1,200 square feet, or
Okay.
maybe it was 1,000 square feet. But so you could do that downtown. You could. It's very eclectic down there. You can have a big house and a small house, but that's architecturally how that works.
So these covenants and restrictions are what will, in the end, help
exactly.
dictate that.
And it's going to help bring that subdivision in. But I'm not. I think I would say, because I've heard people be afraid that we're going to, plop a 800 square foot mini house next to a mansion.
No.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm saying building the subdivisions that have comparable homes in them.
Great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Long-winded.
All right. What feedback have you received from first-time buyers or young families trying to enter the housing market in Lee Summit?
Well, I mean, it's been everybody that's in the real estate business knows that it's very hard, because we do have affordable homes in Lee Summit. We have homes that are in the 200 to 325, which is what I classify, and I said that in the video, of affordable homes. There just aren't enough. So
They sell pretty quick
They sell
when they
very
go on the
quick.
market.
They sell very quick, and sometimes you have to fight over them.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Mhm.
And then the second thing I thought about when I saw that question was educating buyers about what it takes to own a home.
Mhm.
You have to save money. You don't have to put 20% down. You can put 3.5% down. But just being educated on what it takes to buy a home, or buy your first home.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. Thank you. What are your thoughts on frame-ready homes, energy-efficient, architecturally appealing homes priced in the 200 to 300,000 range? We've heard you speak about this last week. Could this really work in Lee Summit? What does that look like? Because it was mentioned, and that was the person's question: is what are those? Because some people just don't know what frame-ready is.
Well, let me tell you. So I traveled to Springfield to talk to a builder down there that's building these homes, and I was so impressed. These are what they call a panelized construction type of a home. They are built in a factory, but they are built, the pieces are built. So it's like a puzzle. This is what the builder said. It's like a puzzle when it comes out to be put on the land, the lot. And so they are built on site. It's not something that they build in a factory and they plunk it down. And they are absolutely something that can work, because looking at the exterior styles of them, you saw them too.
So I was there, and I have to say I have a background in interior design, and I was so impressed by what they had to offer. And once we saw those, I was, can we get that in Lee Summit, please?
Yeah, because they
awesome.
were 1,800 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't little boxes. They were story and a half, which means the master was on the main. Mm-hmm. It's a house that a senior could live in.
3-bedroom.
They could age in there.
Yeah.
They had plenty of storage space. They had media spaces for the kids to do homework, or somebody to go out and watch TV.
Adorable.
I mean, they were. I mean, we were so impressed with that, and they were beautiful on the outside. Now they're on small lots because they're tall and thin, but that's why I'm saying in Lee Summit, we've got this ready to go. We've done our homework, and we've changed our UDO, our ordinances, to be set up for builders to come in and build these types of homes on these smaller lots.
Well, that's exciting.
It is, and I would say that
we need it.
We build little, like they did in Arbor.
Mm-hmm.
We build little subdivisions,
and these would be single-family homes, not rentals, correct?
No, they would be. I would hope. Yes, they would be. If we're going to help, these buyers to buy a home, they have to be for sale.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Thank you. How will you ensure that the voices of everyday residents are included in future housing policy discussions if you're elected as mayor?
Well, so as a council person, let me go back a little bit and say that as a council person, I get letters, I get phone calls from people. and I love it because I'm a people person. I love to talk to people. That's what I've done. I talk to people. And so I always tell people the way to get your voice heard is to contact us. You can contact the city staff, and you can come to our meetings. You can come to our council meetings. It's really important for people to participate. People have, they think about the things that are frustrating and the things that are going on in their neighborhoods. We don't know. I know what goes on where I live, but I don't know what goes on in your neighborhood or your neighborhood over here because I don't live there. So the only way for you to let us know that you're thinking about something or there is a concern is for you to reach out to us. It doesn't do any good to get on social media and complain. It just doesn't. You got to get proactive. And
don't be afraid to reach out to your local council members.
Yeah, and I think we have right now. I think we have an amazing council and a caring council that wants to hear our meetings. Our meetings now are. I feel like that we do a lot to try to hear. Now listen, we can't solve every problem. Right. We can't make everything happen maybe the way you want it to, but that doesn't mean we can't listen, that we can't come up with more ideas. And as mayor, one of the big things that is, I have my top 3 of my platform priorities. We're talking about housing right now, but one of the most important thing to me is transparency and communication. Better ways that we can communicate with the public. I think it's always good to have conversations on the phone or over email. Or
I was going to say that's one thing that I think of when I see this question that I think about when I think of you is that you always answer your phone, and it rings a lot, but you always answer it. And if you don't, you get back to people. And so I think between transparency and the fact that you welcome
I welcome
calls and the questions.
I'm not afraid to take calls that might be difficult or fierce because somebody's upset or they didn't feel like they got treated fairly. This is what communication is all about, is figuring out what that is and then coming up with a win-win.
Yeah.
A communication.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 more questions. Right. How do you think the city should prioritize housing when it comes to future development plans? More apartments, single-family homes, or a mix?
Well, now this is my opinion. And I'm basing it on everybody is seeing that we have a lot of apartments built, and people will say, well, the market isn't there for single family homes because everybody's coming to the apartments because they're building apartments. So what I just said, if the only product that you offer is apartments and people want to live in Lee Summit, and they do, people want to live here because of the schools. Because it's a great city. There's a lot of stuff going on here and we're just getting better and better all the time. But it's just like, if that's all you offer, that's what they're going to do. They may come here to live in an apartment until they can buy a home or to afford to buy a home, where that may never happen. So do we have a good mix? I think that we're starting to go the other direction. We have a comprehensive plan that stated that we wanted to have a mix of 65% single family and then 35% apartments or a multifamily. I think that we're getting there. If we're not already there, we're getting really close. Yeah. According to the stats, we're like at a 72% for single family. So we're getting very close. I would kind of like to reverse that and start getting single family opportunities for people to buy homes that people can buy here. So I think that you have to have a mix. Of course, there's always a balance with everything in a community to make it strong and stable. And we don't want to go too far out one way and then, we get too far going one direction. It just doesn't serve the people of the community. So,
well, and I think I've heard you say this before, and correct me if I say it wrong, but we don't want growth for the sake of growth.
No, we want intentional and purposeful growth, and we want it to be something that we want. Yeah. And it's not always about money either. So it's not always about the tax base. It's just like of course we need money and we need to continue, but we need that for infrastructure. But we also have to think about the fact that what is it that we love about Lee Summit?
Charming, small town.
Yeah. We have our parks, and people like their green space. It doesn't, every time there's a hunk of land over here, it doesn't have to be developed. We do have to continue to develop to continue our city.
But I also think that one thing that I hear that I would like to speak for the citizens, maybe a little bit, is that we're bringing in all this new development, but what about the developments that we have that are shutting down and the empty building spaces that we already currently have? Why are we bringing more if we can't, so I know that that's a concern if we're not sustaining.
Yes, if we're not sustaining.
So I think that that's something that needs to be considered along the way.
I absolutely believe that. And it's just like, we want to keep bringing in businesses, but we also have to take care and nurture the businesses that we have. That's important to keep them going and not, for lack of a better way, cannibalize. We've got 10 of this kind of thing. Maybe we don't need any more of that. Maybe we need to, because those 10 businesses are trying to stay afloat. So it's kind of that way with apartments too. It's just like we're building those, but we're not servicing the needs of the people that want to buy a home.
Right.
And want to be part of this community and have a stakeholder. Okay,
last question. Do you believe homeownership is still an achievable goal for most families in Lee Summit? Why or why not?
I think it's an achievable goal. I'm going to bank my life on that and on my passion and love for housing. But it's become so difficult because of what has happened in the past it's been 5 years that it's really been. The market went berserkio during COVID. Really, nobody really realizes that, but everything changed. Everybody changed because they were working from home. Everything, everybody was looking at things differently. And then we had investors that came into the market that were buying up our single family affordable homes like nobody's business. And so that has impacted not just us; it's impacted every city in America. And so it is possible. If I didn't think it was possible, I wouldn't be sitting here with you. Right. But we've got to get the product in here. We've got to get the builders in here that want to build and can build a more attainable, affordable, I'm going to say affordable home that more people can buy. Everybody's not going to be able to buy.
And you're saying that they build and that they are for sale, not for rent.
Yeah, having some rentals is okay, but it's like you don't want a community of people that don't own the homes.
Right, I agree.
We want people to. Okay, I'll back up. I've lived here 50 years. Everybody knows I've lived here 50 years. I came here in the 70s. I've watched this town grow. It started as a bedroom community. It still is for the most part, but they were building houses like crazy here, and because of that, because of those rooftops. Here came the businesses. Businesses started coming. I started a business. Many of my neighbors and people that I know started businesses here in Lee Summit because we became part of this community. We loved it. We wanted to stay here. We wanted to raise our children, and our children wanted to stay here. So, to me, it's just like if we keep building places that people can't buy, in the long run, how do we look? Are we, because people that rent don't typically stay in those rentals. They either buy a house or they move somewhere else or whatever. We want a community of stability where people are connected, that they volunteer, that like we do.
Want to stay here.
We want to stay here. We want to get involved in the schools. And we want to be in Rotary and the Chamber and all the beautiful organizations that we have here that service people and help people. And so I want to continue that. And I worry that we won't be able to continue that if we don't start changing the narrative, or not the narrative, but changing the landscape a little bit and saying, let's find a way to build some more houses that people can buy.
Great.
Yeah.
I agree. Awesome. Well, thank you for taking your time today. And I think this is great. And if the community has any more questions along the way, don't be afraid to reach out. She will answer them any day, anytime.
I will answer them, and I look forward to hearing from everybody. This is really great.
All right. Have a good day. Thanks. All right.
Thank you.